Okay, so I'm going to be presenting my application project. So an introduction to this project is that I'm a ballet major and I was taking a Laban class and I was having a really hard time relating the LMA concepts to ballet because I felt like the ballet language already had so much vocabulary that kind of explained the movement, and I felt like LMA more applied to modern rather than ballet. So I was having a hard time matching it, and I figured that the best way for me to figure out how LMA fit ballet better was to do my application project on it. So I chose to do this project with a variation from the ballet Esmeralda. We were already sort of working on this variation in my point class before we got quarantined, so I figured now would be a good time to teach myself the variation and finish it so that I could see if I could. So then my intention was to see if I could teach myself a variation from a video using the principles of LMA. So then when I first started analyzing the body, effort, shape, and space of the video, I decided to fill out all the observation sheets that we did in class. And I came up with motifs for each of them. And after looking at the wider idea of the variation, I came up with 2 concepts in each category that were most important in my opinion. So in the body category, I decided that the simultaneous movement is most important because you're always moving your arms and legs simultaneously to hit a pose and then pausing and then hitting another one and then pausing. And then I also decided that it was important to acknowledge that the legs and the arms are always moving, whereas the core and the upper body is always held. So then with effort, I decided that it was most important to acknowledge that the variation is done in sudden time and direct space, because your spatial patterns are always very clear because you're usually looking at the tambourine or at the audience directly. And then with sudden time, you're usually hitting a sharp beat and holding it, and then hitting another sharp beat and then holding it, and you get there pretty quickly. But I learned that as you do the movement, it kind of feels a little bit slower than when you initially learn it, which is normal for all variations. And then when it comes to shape, I decided that the most important thing was the shape flow support of lengthening, because you're constantly lengthening out of the floor. And that also has to do a lot with posture and breath, and I feel like that really kind of just shows the importance of just ballet in general, because you're always going to see that in ballet. And then I also acknowledge that just opening in general was very important, because a lot of the poses that were held were opened, and there was more of a reference to the opening of the body, because you would open and hold it, and then you would close and open again and hold it. I also, in space, decided that the vertical plane was the most used plane throughout the variation, just because you were constantly presenting your body to the audience, and it was more of a 2D experience if you looked at it straight on. And then the kinesphere was very large throughout the entire variation. You're constantly reaching out to as far as you can, if not further. And I feel like that's also common in ballet, because you're always seeing dancers extend their limbs as possible. So then I'm going to show you a video of my after product of after I used all of my observations and taught myself the variation using the LMA concepts. So that's going to go right here. So So what I learned from teaching myself a variation through the LMA concepts is that the most relevant thing in LMA that I discovered was effort, because you can do almost every movement in whatever effort qualities you would like. But in order for you to truly match the variation and honor the movement, you have to understand the effort qualities that it's in, and you need to be able to apply them into your own body. And then I also acknowledge that you need to keep an eye on space and stage location, because when you're watching a video, it's opposite to how you would learn it, because you would normally learn it facing the back of someone so that you could match their arms and legs. But with this, you kind of have to do the opposite of what they're doing to teach it to yourself, so you have to be really clear with what's your right and left. And it's sometimes easier to think about it, what's closing and what's opening. And then you also have to keep an eye on space in general, whether you're in the sagittal plane or the vertical plane, because it's kind of hard to transfer a 2D video into a 3D body. So you have to really keep an eye on that and look for those. So now I'm going to teach you the first section of the variation. Okay, so for this variation, first I'm going to start by telling you that everything is going to be done with direct space, and it is going to be done in sudden time. But right now I'm going to slow it down for you so that we can learn it. And you're going to start with an imaginary tambourine in your right arm, or your right hand, and you're going to extend this arm directly outwards from your shoulder. And you're going to have your left leg in croisé crossing your other leg, and this hand is going to be on your hip. So then you're going to come to fifth position, and you're going to clap on your tambourine. And your arms are going to extend to this L, and you're going to échapper with your legs simultaneously. So that's going to go here. And I like to think of this as your body in the vertical plane while your arm is reaching to the sagittal. And then your right arm and your right leg are going to cross over your midline and enclose. And then you're going to spread and open into a passe with this arm opening simultaneously. And then you're going to step, and your leg is going to arc and bama up and kick your tambourine. You're going to come back to your midline, and you're going to go into a susu with this arm in fifth high and this one on your hip. So then you'll be in the vertical dimension. And then you'll repeat that 3 times. And that's the end. And now I'm going to talk to you about how LMA enhances my abilities in general as a dancer. So I had a personal discovery that I will be able to teach easier if I am able to combine the ballet vocabulary and the LMA vocabulary, because I don't think that you can teach independently with both of them. Because I feel like with ballet I would use like the word échapper, but then I would have to explain the dimension, and I would have to explain the quality in which you would do it through the LMA concepts. So it's very important to have both of them, because you can't just have one without the other. And then I also discovered that it is easy for me to learn variations and other movement material from video using the concepts of LMA, because I am now able to take what I learned and apply it to a future career or a job opportunity where they send me a video and tell me to come prepared to that rehearsal. So all in all, I think the main thing that I learned is that I can apply LMA to ballet vocabulary, and it only enhances the vocabulary, it doesn't deter from it. So now I can always use both the LMA and the ballet vocabulary to teach and to learn.